Hello and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and here are my thoughts on Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 3. Now, it's a much more somber affair, this third episode. We get a Empire mining facility, a planet ravaged by the woes of the Empire as they seek to profit from their invasion of pretty much everywhere in the galaxy, and Obi-Wan and Leia are strewn upon this planet in an attempt to return to Alderaan. And we get a lot of small interactions between Leia and Obi-Wan, and in this episode in particular, I think this is the episode where we see Leia come to the realization that life isn't a game anymore, that there are dangers out there, and there are dangers that involve her, and that she will have to step up at some point. Leia's not as sort of overt in what she does in this episode, although she does help Obi-Wan get through a difficult moment where he can't quite come up with the words. And it's a bit of an interesting contrast, this episode, between what he does in A New Hope, where he uses the Force to, talk his way out of a situation with the stormtroopers. Here he's lost for words, and it's actually Leia who is the one that sort of gets them past the stormtroopers, if you like, gets them through the stormtroopers. But of course, it all goes to pot, and eventually we get everything that we've wanted to see so far. We get an appearance from Lord Vader, and Lord Vader's appearance is exactly what you would expect it would be. It's brutal, it's straight to the point, and he doesn't hold back at all. It's it's a fabulous sort of moment when you first see Vader, and we first see Vader when he's talking to Inquisitor Reva, or Reva, or whatever it is. I can never remember. And Reva sort of lays out her thoughts, and Vader says, well, if you follow my commands, if you do as you're told, you will become the Grand Inquisitor. Fail and you will die, quite simply. So we get an idea of where Reva's plan's going, what she wants in particular. She doesn't say too much in this episode, but we get a continuing development of her sort of character, if you like, and she comes across later in the episode a Jedi symbol, and you see this sort of build-up within her, this build-up of rage, and I still want to see more. I still want to see more of that in that regard. I want to see where this burning, pain is coming from and what it means for her, because I think we are missing that. But the main selling point of this episode, the main crux of this episode, is Vader appearing, and Vader comes to this mining planet, and he can sense Obi-Wan's there. He knows exactly where he is, and he hunts him down. And as Obi-Wan helps Leia escape with this new character, whose name escapes me, through this tunnel system, Obi-Wan draws Vader away from this village. And all the while, Vader's spreading the Christmas cheer to this village. A number of people are killed by him as he's using the Force. And one in particular is extremely brutal. And I'm pretty sure it's a young man, possibly just a young, not a young child, but a teenager, and it's a neck-breaking affair. And so we see at full, this is Vader at the height of his power. This is Vader at full ferocity, where he shows no mercy. He's got no interest in pissing about, pretty much. And it's glorious. It's glorious. Even amongst, what it, for me, is some bad writing, some bad scripting. And I mean in terms of dialogue. The dialogue for me is very shoddy in places. It's focusing on a lot of buzzwords and buzz phrases. Vader himself, literally says, "You should have killed me when you had the chance." How many times have we heard that line of dialogue? You know, we heard it from Magneto in X-Men 2. We've heard it from countless other films. Where there's been a lead villain, and it's buzz phrases. It doesn't scream Vader. What I've always enjoyed about Vader is his use of word. He's very eloquent in his words, even though he's abundantly terrifying. There's long phrases, where he's visually explaining, everything that you want to see. And missing that a bit, and you can put it down to his sheer unadulterated rage, I suppose, and he's finally going to be able to get hold of Kenobi. But yeah, some of the dialogue all round, I think, and I think this is where the problem with Reva has come in. I don't think anyone is particularly performing bad in this series. I think they're just suffering from bad dialogue, if I'm being quite honest. And it's a prequels kind of curse, I think, if you like. It's very bizarre. But let's not take away from this episode's main point, which is Vader and Obi-Wan coming together once again. And they have a bit of a scrap. We see Vader in full ferocity, full power. Obi-Wan is weak here. He can't hold Vader. He cannot stand up to Vader. Again, there's that far cry from what we know of where Obi-Wan is in Episode 4, even though he's killed in Episode 4, the film Episode 4, A New Hope. Even though he's killed in A New Hope, he holds Vader, and it's completely different here. He's unable to hold him. He can't hold him. Vader overpowers him quickly, easily, without strain. And we can see an abundance of fear within Obi-Wan's face, in his actions, in the way he moves around this battlefield, which is a quarry in, I don't know, Wales or somewhere like that. No amount of covering up will cover up that it looks like a quarry from Wales, but I'll give you it. But yeah, we get a nice lovely fight, and hopefully we'll escalate to a point where Obi-Wan is able to hold his own against Vader. But there is one spooky image that I wish we'd see more of, and I was kind of hoping the series would be more like that. There's a brief point where Obi-Wan and Leia are walking across this open field on this mining planet. The mining planet's not what you'd imagine. It's very much like an open prairie kind of thing. Almost looks like, I don't know, maybe somewhere like Ohio or Utah. And there's this figure in the distance. And at first I thought, oh fucking hell, it's Qui-Gon. But no, it turns around and you can very, 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 very small, you can just about tell that is Anakin in this grey hood, in this grey brown hood, and the face is pale, but you can tell it's Hayden Christensen. I wanted more of that. I wanted Obi-Wan to be haunted by this image of a stricken Anakin, or a burnt Anakin, or even just like some visually deformed Anakin, to really just hammer home how much he's failed him. I really wanted more of that, and I hope we do get a bit more of that maybe going forward. Obviously Vader defeats Obi-Wan in this episode, but Obi-Wan's saved by this friend on this mining planet that him and Leia come across. But yeah, I want more. I want a bit more freakiness. I want a bit more weirdness, which taps into like Force ghosts and things like that. I think there should be something on, because we've had this where you can communicate across vast distances in the Star Wars galaxy. The Last Jedi established that, regardless of what your thoughts and opinions are on that. It's canon, unfortunately. So do something with it. Have Vader and Obi-Wan talking, across this vast distance, even if it is that Anakin appears as some kind of destroyed former Jedi figure. Let's have it. Let's see it. Let's see some real fear. This is the perfect opportunity to do it because Vader is such an imposing, terrifying figure, and Obi-Wan is clearly completely distraught and destroyed by the thought that Anakin is now this monstrosity, this machine, which he cannot stop. But there you go. A good episode, a much better episode. I think we're building up, aren't we? It's constantly building up to whatever's to come. I'm still convinced that Reva is going to do something that will, in some form, save Luke, Leia, and Obi-Wan from Vader's ultimate wrath, because they have to. There has to be something that hides Obi-Wan again. They've got to tie it in somehow. Where Obi-Wan's able to disappear once again. So I'm still convinced that involves Reva in some form or another. Possibly she ends up betraying Vader or lying to Vader. I'm convinced that something will happen along those lines, but we'll see what happens. That was episode 3 of 6. Christ, we're over halfway through already. Let's see where it takes us. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.